80s heat! 80s heat! Friendship, laughs, and camaraderie!
Anyways, there was a lot of characters. There was a lot of characters at BJ Gym out of Calgary, but I think we were gonna talk about some '80s toys, some action figures, and well, not just action figures, but just '80s toys in general.
80s toys.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, fair to say, like I know everybody says this about their generation, but it rings true.
Mm-hmm.
The 80s had the best cartoon, and from cartoons you have the best toys.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, they're uncomparable, and it drives me nuts. So I got 3 kids at home, and they're all at that age where they're watching cartoons.
Yeah.
All of the cartoons now are freaking, oh, I'm presented with a daily problem. How can I handle this problem in a mature and respectful manner? There is no good guys
It's tolerant of
versus
everybody else, regardless
evil.
of the
Like He-Man.
Yep.
He-Man was the force of good.
Yep.
Skeletor was the force of evil.
Yep.
He-Man would fight Skeletor.
Kind of a Superman angle there, right? Like in that. What was his Prince Adam? Was it Prince Adam?
Prince Adam was his.
But that's when he's not all jacked.
No, he's still jacked.
He has
He
his
became
punk cover on.
slightly more tan,
Yeah.
and his shade of blonde went ever so slightly darker, and nobody could figure it out.
No, you'd never know.
But he was just as jacked. Wearing those.
Like, do you work out, Adam? He's like, no.
No, not at all.
Don't worry about it. I'm really.
But like everything, like Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, He-Man, it was all.
Are we talking about cartoons or toys?
Well, that's what I'm segueing into.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm just thinking, like we
His
could do
hat
a whole
falls off.
episode on just cartoons.
I know, but I'm saying, point being, you have these shows. I don't know if there. I don't know about you. There isn't a single toy action figure that I played with that didn't have a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that I would want to play with those toys was because of my passion for the cartoon. Freaking He-Man, believe it or not, the toys came out before the cartoon.
Yes. Yep.
The cartoon was based on the toys.
It was based on
Well, that happened.
toys,
Like, was that the case for Ninja Turtles, or were they a comic before?
I think
that was a graphic
Comic,
novel
okay,
by
gotcha.
Eastman and Laird.
Yeah.
But yeah, these toys, they started coming out, and you had to have them.
Who's the big guy with the muscles?
He's He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Skeletor is his enemy.
And it always drove me nuts, because the commercials, I clued in probably around age 8 or 9. I clued in because every toy looked awesome.
Yep.
But the backdrops that they would have when they're
Oh.
selling these toys, it'd be like,
yeah.
you'd buy a He-Man toy and they'd be like fighting in Eternia and there'd be castles and snake pits and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then you just buy the toy.
Dude, this is awesome.
There it is.
And then you throw out the toy and keep the box. Oh, this is the best box ever. Just fighting.
So Ian, you might have a culturally different experience growing up in jolly old England.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the 80s toys that you fancied yourself?
Well, the biggest one was He-Man. The He-Man figures, and I think I've seen one or two of yours when you had them at your old place in a box. They're the same figures.
Yeah.
And they were just so awesome. And He-Man's armor, and you put the little sword in the back. You had the little holster for the sword. I just thought it was the coolest thing. And then Prince Adam had the sword. It was the same sword, but like purple or pink for some reason.
Yeah.
And it was like half a sword, right?
Yep.
And then you could clip the two together, so it was like pink on one side and then silver on the other. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that, but
So you could just
I
kind of
believe
switch it. Yeah, and those figures were just amazing. Again, I think you mentioned Snake Mountain on a previous episode, but I had the Snake Mountain, I had the Castle Grayskull, I had most of the Rogues Gallery. I even had what was it? Is it Stinkor?
Stinkor.
And
Actually,
and-
Oh, yeah. I remember that. The skunk.
It actually stunk.
Yeah.
the
that was like-
Stinkor Funko actually smells too, eh?
Does it?
Oh.
Nice. I like that. Little touches like that. Yeah.
All of those He-Man characters, like there was some. It's so typically they make a toy, and it's the same mold painted different. But those Masters of the Universe toys, they all had something a little different. Like, this one would smell, or Moss Man had like that mossy texture.
Yeah.
Cobra Khan, you'd like push him, and the water would spray out.
I remember that guy. Yeah.
There's just something a little different about every single one that you had to have them. There was no Passover.
And all just juice to the gills, except for fucking Orko or whoever. Like there was a couple of.
I was just going to mention
the She-Ra spinoff.
Yeah. And Orko was in He-Man, hey?
Was he in He-Man?
Yeah.
Or was he She-Ra?
No, Orko was He-Man.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay. He was the only guy that wasn't on the sauce. All the other guys, all the other action.
It's a little ghost wizard thing.
But you feel like a wizard could put a little bit of time in the gym.
But he doesn't have to because he's
magic.
a wizard.
Oh,
Magic
but
can do
like,
it.
what if?
He can lift heavier than all of them without trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Why doesn't he
What
just
if that
banish
backfires,
Skeletor into another dimension then?
Well, I think that is that.
But his magic was always a little bit fucked up though.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
he wasn't a very
Orko's
good
magic, like so.
Actually, never liked.
Like what? Give me an example of a
You
fucking.
don't like Orko?
Give me an example of a spell that Orko actually did.
You're not. I'm not.
Did he actually do a spell,
Orko
or was he?
the drizzling shit?
He did spells, but it'd always fuck him up. Like he'd try and conjure something, and it'd conjure something completely different.
Well, then, like, how did he survive through the series? Like, do you think one of Skeletor's minions would have chopped his head
he
off?
was
or something?
He-Man's best friend, and he knew He-Man's secret. Only
So-
3 people knew his secret.
So-
Who were they?
Who? He-Man's secret?
Orko.
Orko knew?
Man at Arms.
Oh, Man at Arms. Yeah, he was
He was badass.
He was pretty good. He had a mace.
Yeah, had a mustache.
I always thought the guys that carried the maces.
Of course, the source. But the thing that bugged me about that was they always say only 3 people knew his secrets. It was 4 because
Yeah.
Cringer knew 2.
Yeah.
He wasn't a person. He was a cat.
Well, Orko wasn't a person; he was a wizard. Sorceress isn't a person; he was a sorceress.
Yeah.
And none of them are people because they live on a different planet. So what are they? They're masters.
Yeah.
That's the universe.
You're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, those toys were like super cool. Like there was Snake Mountain with the old microphone and stuff, and like so the Orko. Did yours have? I remember now. I'm just thinking about it. It had like a little plastic thing that you with a loop and you pull it through, and then he like spins around and like dances.
Can I tell you? I told you, I told you about the Orko incident of '87.
I don't remember.
What happened in '87?
Oh,
Orko.
to this day,
Okay.
Penticton, British Columbia, 1987.
Setting the stage here. Jeez, you're setting the stage.
My family went vacationing. We stayed at the Granada Motel in Penticton, British Columbia.
Okay. Yep.
And we left on the day that we left. We got 10 hours back, and I realized I was missing my Orko.
Oh.
I was so mad at my dad for refusing to turn the car around,
Yeah, drive back 8
drive all the way back. I never got that Orko back, and I kid you not, this is not made up. 1988, I went back to the Granada, and I asked them if anybody had found it.
I left an Orko.
You didn't like get your dad to phone see if they could like mail it or whatever, or
This is the same father. I told you what he did to me.
Yeah.
with the garbage.
He probably has it to this day. He's probably watching this podcast, holding it, going,
Actually, we should check Ian's toy case and see if he's got an Orko. Maybe he
I-
stopped at the
I-
Granada
I
at some
do
point.
not.
Yeah.
So, do you remember I told you on I think it might have been episode 1 when my mum threw out all my comics? She used to throw away, and I'm sorry, Mum, I love you because I know she watches every single episode we do. I love you, but
you-
I love you too, Mrs. Wood.
But do better.
I don't
do
know.
better.
Jake does, but
Well, that.
But you did throw away my He-Man and all my He-Man figures. And,
geez.
yeah, that's
Durable action
what was,
figures, though.
what was the one with is it Manny Faces?
Manny Faces,
He had the thing on the
The
head of the
robot,
twist and
like
the
the
robot,
green
and then
monster. So,
Yeah.
like I said, you couldn't pass on any of them.
No, because everything
Everything-
had its own little gimmick.
Ram Man
Yeah.
had you'd like push him down and then he'd
Sprang
start
up.
flying up
Yeah.
at you, and
So
Yeah.
clever.
Yeah, I own. I mean, I had an older brother who was into He-Man every bit as much as I was. So, like every Christmas, every birthday, we would double, right? Like I'd get 2 or 3 for Christmas, 2 or 3 for my birthday,
Yeah.
2 or 3 for just nagging my parents over the course of the year, and then my brother would get them. Like our collection of He-Man was
Yeah.
massive.
80s heat! 80s